Hi everyone, my name is Willow Rose Moondancer. I make videos here on YouTube about Wicca, and I also have a blog called wiccansaren'twicked.com. Today we are going to be talking about what kind of food a Wiccan eats. So I think a very general conception, or misconception that is, about Wiccans is that every single Wiccan is a vegan or a vegetarian. But that's not necessarily true. So there's lots of different ideas on what is okay and what isn't okay to eat, and it very much depends on one's interpretation of harm none, do as ye will. And that in itself is just based on your personal belief system. So I'm going to go through various different types of eaters, I guess if you will, types of diets, and discuss why one might choose that option. I am not going to give my opinion in this video, as I think most people I have one. If you would be interested in hearing my opinion, you can let me know down below in the comments, and I could do a video on why I think one choice is better than the others, or at least why it's better for my practice. But yeah, so the very first diet we're going to talk about is, of course, the vegan diet. I think this is the very most common perception of Wicca for those people who actually understand what Wicca is. So someone who is vegan, obviously they eat no meat or animal byproducts, and they also don't associate themselves with animal byproducts. So when I say that, I mean they don't wear wool, they don't wear leather, they don't have real fur on their coats, or they might not even have fake fur on their coats because they don't want to perpetuate the idea that fur is okay. So when they don't eat animal byproducts, that means they don't eat things like milk or eggs or honey. I'm sure there's other byproducts, but those are the top three that come to mind. They believe that anything that comes from an animal hurts an animal in some fashion. So one might believe that milking a cow either A, physically hurts a cow, or B, emotionally hurts a cow, because obviously you can only milk a cow that has a baby or whatever, so there's ideas that forcing animals to breed for milk production is not okay. Or if we're talking about eggs, one might believe that eating an egg is killing a chick embryo. And some people believe that collecting honey is a harmful process for the bees. So these are all reasons why it might not fit with the harm none, do as ye will thought process. But yeah, so this is the vegans' thought process on that line from the Wiccan Read, as they view anything that's not vegan is harmful. That is an okay mindset to have. It's not the mindset for everyone. Some people are vegetarians, so these people would eat the animal byproducts like the milk and the eggs and the honey, but they would not eat actual physical animals. So this could be because they don't see it as harmful, or they believe that as long as they get permission from these animals, so if they get permission from the cows to drink their milk, if they get permission to eat the eggs from the chicken, if they get permission to collect the honey from the bees, then it is okay. And there are various ways that people believe they can ask permission for these things. And then a vegetarian subcategory is the vegetarian variants. So there are polo vegetarians and pesca vegetarians, or polo pesca vegetarians, and I'm sure the list goes on. Polo vegetarian is one who doesn't eat any meat except for poultry, And then pescatarian is someone who only eats fish. And then obviously if you combine those pesca polo together, it's someone who only eats poultry and fish. For a long time, from like grade 12 until the end of this last summer, so that was about 3 years for me, I was a polo vegetarian. I only ate poultry. This is because I had the mindset that I wanted to be a vegetarian or maybe even a vegan, but I didn't think it would be healthy for me because I'm aware that I am a finicky person. I don't like as much food as the average person does. And when it comes to harm none, do as ye will, do as ye will, I feel that you yourself have to come first and everything else kind of has to come second, to an extent, obviously. So I felt being a polo vegetarian was the best way for me to try and harm as little as possible, but also making sure that I am getting the nutrients still that I need. However, I am not a polo vegetarian anymore. I fit into the meat eaters category, if you will. But I have separated meat eaters into two different types. I have separated them into the ethically sourced meat eaters and then just your average Joe meat eater. I try my best to fall under the ethically sourced meat eaters. During the summer, went on a bit of a work trip as I was being a traveling nanny for a family. And we went all through like the northern states of the US. Not all of them, but a good portion. And traveling through Montana especially made me realize that not every single steak or pork chop or whatever that you put on your plate is coming from an inhumane, unethical source. As I was traveling through Montana, I just saw fields and fields of open land owned by ranchers for their cattle to completely free range off of. And the amount of property that these ranchers had was amazing. There was no way that these cows weren't being treated as humanely as possible. They had tons of space, they had tons of grass to graze on, and it really kind of changed my perspective on what was ethical to eat and what wasn't ethical to eat. So yeah, I try and be ethical. Ways that you can do that is by only buying meat from sellers who fit your ethics. So that could be through hunting. Hunting is generally a very humane way of getting meat. You hunt what you need, and that is it. You could purchase a live cow, like on an auction, and then have it ethically killed. And then you can take it to a butcher and they can do all that stuff for you. And that's one method of getting your ethically raised meat. That is something that I would like to pursue one day when I have a little bit more money to just drop on a whole cow. And then another method that you could do is you could make sure you're shopping at local businesses who get their meat locally. You could be going to farmers markets, or you could be purchasing free range animals. So in general, what I do is I get most of my meat from this little business downtown where I live, and they sell all their meat from local places here in the Maritimes where I live. And so that's how I like to get my meat. I've also been interested in going down to the market and getting meat from local farmers there. But that just hasn't happened yet. The weather is just finally starting to warm up for market season. But yeah, so those are some ways that you could get ethically sourced meat. And then we just have your regular average Joe meat eater. So this is someone who doesn't believe that the line harm none, do as ye will has any sort of reference to food consumption. They typically view animals as solely meant to be eaten. And do they just feel that's why they were put on Earth by whoever or whatever you believe caused Earth. And that, once again, is a totally okay thought process to have. Doesn't necessarily line up with mine, but there's really nothing wrong with it. As long as it goes with your journey and what you think is best for your path, that's what matters at the end of the day. Hopefully this gave you a little insight on the various reasons why someone may pick the diet that they choose, and maybe it'll help you pick the diet that best fits your belief system. Make sure you check out my blog, wiccansaren'twicked.com. I make 2 posts a week, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. And make sure you subscribe to me here because I make videos every Monday and Thursday. And until next time, blessed be.